Now, our two chip leaders are the two youngest guys at the table. Canadian Mike Watson out in front with about 4.8 million in chips. But a lot of talent at this table tonight, Vince. This is going to be tough for any of these guys to win.
All right, to the table, Gabriel Thaler looking down at a 4 deuce. Won't play that mess. And now Mike Watson has picked up the pair of kings. What a hand.
Well, Mike is the current chip leader. Picks up a beautiful hand here. Going to make it 220,000 to go.
Ralph Perry going out. Luke not going to play. And now the raiser, John Phan with an ace-5.
Not the kind of hand you want to go up against the chip leader with.
No, he goes out. David Benyamine. His turn to act. He has a Jack-10 offsuit in the big blind.
Well, is this the kind of hand you want to fade against the chip leader who raised under the gun? You always like to see flops with a Jack-10, and of course, David Benyamine put him at the head of that flop class. He loves to see flops, so he makes the call.
So the flop is ace-queen 5. David with the inside straight draw. He has checked it. Mike Watson, kind of a scary flop because the ace is popped up.
Yeah, doesn't want to get check raised there, so he opts to check as well. Well, 3 of spade comes off, so for David to win it, he needs to catch a king. His opponent holding 2 of them.
David quickly checking again. Mike not coming out of the woods, also going to check.
Well, now the board pairs queens.
David taking no shot at this. He's going to check it again.
Well, Vince, David's checked 3 times in a row. You have to think your 2 kings are good by now. If he's setting a trap at this late stage in the pot, good luck to him. Mike is going to make a value bet here, and he does take down the pot as Benyamine folds.
You see Amy Watson, Mike's sister, applauding, very happy about him taking down his first pot here tonight.
Yeah, Sir Watts doing well there. 24-year-old from Toronto. Strong math guy. And you keep picking up hands like that and like this, you're going to do just fine. Forget about the math.
Got ace-jack of hearts in first position. He's on a roll. He's going to get some chips out again to raise. And there it is, 220,000 to go.
Ralph quickly out.
Luke Staudenmaier now with a Dolly Parton 9-5, also going out.
Over to John Phan. Looks down at a king deuce on the button, lays it down.
David Benyamine also going away. The only one to beat is Gabriel Thaler, and he's got a pair of 10s here.
Yeah, nice hand in the big blind. You know he's going to play this pot. The question is, does he just call or does he come over the top right here? Gabe, a very successful professional poker player, good family man. He and his wife Stephanie have 4 children. And he's just going to call here, Vince. He's not raising. He just doesn't want to put all his chips in the pot in case it comes like ace, king, or queen, for example.
All right, we're going to see the flop. Pot building.
Oh, it's come 7-5-4.
Uh-oh.
Gabriel is out in front with the 2 10s, but his opponent has the nut flush draw.
Yeah, 4 flush.
Gabe is going to check the 2 10s. As he's checking with the intent of check raising here. He was hoping the little cards would come up. That's what did. His opponent is betting 320,000.
Yes, he does.
That's when you're holding 2 10s. This is the kind of flop you're looking for. If your opponent's got aces, kings, or queens, good luck to him. It turns out his opponent has 2 overcards and the nut flush draw.
I'll bet the rest of it.
Oh. But Gabriel is going all in over the top. And I can't see Mike Watson getting away from this hand, Vince. Got too many chips and too good a draw.
Well, it's $1.6 million more, but he does have a lot of chips to make this call. Huge drawing hand.
I have to call.
And he is going to call it.
Flush draw?
Well, he says, I have to call, and immediately Gabriel says, what do you have, the nut flush draw? And as the cards lie, Mike Watson is actually a mathematical favorite to win this pot with the 2 overcards and the nut flush draw.
Here comes the skill part.
Here comes the turn card. It's a 3 of diamonds. That's good for Gabriel.
Mike looking for an ace, a jack, a heart. So a lot of cards can help Mike Watson here. Let's see if one of them does. Here comes that river card. Can Gabe hold him off? No! The 8 of hearts comes on the river.
Gabriel Thaler out. Gonna pick up 129,000. He has imploded, blown up like a 60s hotel in Las Vegas.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Gabe Thaler out in 6th place.
WPT Global is committed to being the most fair and secure poker site in the world. Data-driven AI detection technology eliminates collusion and ensures a fair environment for everyone. With zero tolerance for bots and cheaters, WPT Global is trusted by millions of players worldwide. Click the link in the description. Use the code YT11 on deposit and get our welcome package with tournament tickets, deposit match, and more.
Everything was going pretty good for John all night long. He hadn't taken any big hits. All of a sudden, wham! That's what happens in tournament poker. You're sailing on smooth water, and all of a sudden, boom, the cannonball hits your ship, and you about go under.
Antes are going up to 15,000. Blinds at 60 and 120,000. Back down to the money pit. David Benyamine quickly folding his hand. And now Mike Watson looks down at a queen 4. Won't play that mess.
Well, we are around to Ralph Perry. He looks down at an ace-9. Vince, he's on the button, just has to get by the 2 blinds. You figure this hand is better than theirs. I just can't imagine Ralph's not going to make a play here. Sitting on the short stack with an ace-9.
All in.
Well, indeed he is. He's going all in.
Yes, he is.
Can't blame him. There's about 250,000 out there in blinds and antes, so just go ahead and move all in with the ace-9.
Let's see if it'll work. Luke going out. And now John Phan in the big blind has an ace-10.
Well, these two have been going at each other quite a bit tonight, both in playing pots and verbiage. And right now, John Phan has him dominated. It's ace-10 versus ace-9.
I might bust in this hand. Oh, that's a nice catch. Oh, man. Call.
Well, he's going to make a very solid call here.
Well, he is going to call, and he is going to love it.
10, baby. 10.
And there you see how happy John is when he sees Ralph's cards.
Yeah, the Razor up on his feet, excited with the potential of knocking out Ralph Perry.
Vince, he's going to have to get lucky to stay alive at this final table.
I can make 2 flushes. Be good.
Nothing happened tonight for Ralph Perry. He's been a good sport, but just couldn't connect with any cards.
All right, here we go. Everybody on their feet, waiting to flop. Here it comes. A 9 right on the flop. It's come ace-jack 9. Ralph Perry has out-flopped him. He's taken the lead with aces and 9s.
What a hideous flop for the Razor.
John Phan is going to have to catch a jack or a 10 to take the lead here.
Jack of heart.
A 9 will be real good.
Now Ralph says a 9 will be real good.
And he gets
a 9
it!
it is.
Oh, no!
Wow, it's like magic. Well, John takes his glasses off, and you know how sick he is right now. He's drawing dead to a tie.
That's how you do it, baby.
He's got 1 out to tie the pot. He can't win it. If the ace of spade comes up, they would get a split pot. They would both have aces full of 9s, but things not looking good for John Phan right now. Ralph Perry elated to see his luck turn around.
River card coming up.
Well, a jack comes up, so Ralph recognized they needed that 9 on the turn to win this pot.
You put the 9 there at the right time.
He is all smiles.
And look at John Phan. He is going down faster than my career in the 90s.
He asked for a jack.
It's been a long, hard road for these remaining players. You can understand why they don't give up easy.
Welcome back to the restful little town of Las Vegas, Nevada. We're down to 5 players.
Our current chip leader is 22-year-old Luke Staudenmaier with over $7 million in chips. But John, the Razor fan, in trouble right now on the short stack with just $775,000.
Back down to the felt. Mike Watson quickly folding. And now Ralph Perry. Jack deuce of clubs also going to fold.
Here's our chip leader, Luke Staudenmaier from Pittsburgh. He folds. So it's the battle of the blinds.
And the infamous ace-9 again here tonight.
Just can't imagine. With 250,000 in the pot, he's just not going for it all right here. Indeed he is. He moves all in. David Benyamine in the big blind looks down at ace-6 of spades.
This should be a good opportunity for John to start his comeback.
Like 8. Probably have to call. How much you have exactly?
David is going to make the
5.
call. Just wants to know how much it is.
6.
Okay, I call.
There he goes.
So once again, John Phan has his opponent dominated. He's got an ace-9. His opponent's got an ace-6.
Now, Mike, notice this time John the Razor fan doesn't jump up and clench his fist in excitement because he's got his guy pipped. This time he's going to play it a whole different way when you start having those kind of suckouts.
Hey, you're right about that, Vince. The last pot, Ralph Perry took an ace-9 and beat his ace-10, so he's not going to get excited this time until all the cards are gone and they're pushing him to chips.
So far, Phan has been flame boiled here at
3,
Bellagio.
4, 5.
Well, it's a nice flop for the Razor there. It's come King Jack 7 with 1 spade. John Phan out in front with the ace-9.
Well, he deserves to win one of these, you would think. He has been taking his hits.
Spade, spade, spade.
Well, David Benyamine just wants to catch a spade, so he'll have a
6 later.
sweat on the river.
Spade first.
Okay, let's see the turn.
Let's see if he gets his wish. Well, the queen comes off, and it's the queen of
That's
spades.
what I'm talking about.
Wow, what a card for David Benyamine.
Well, this could get obnoxious, I tell you.
6, 6.
Now he's hollering for the 6. That'll give him the win. A 10 would give him a tie.
Well, this would just be unnatural if John Phan should get outdrawn here.
And Vince, look at John. Looks like he can't swallow a BB right now, even though he's still out in front.
River card coming up. John Phan's tournament life on the line.
Deuce of heart.
The 3 of spade comes off. It's a backdoor flush for David Benyamine and a dagger in the heart for John the Razor Phan.
Absolute disaster. He's going to pick up $193,000 as he shakes hands.
John Phan takes a horrible beat, back-to-back pots, and what brutal luck he had down the stretch tonight.
And just like that, we are down to 4 players.
Who's going to capture this $1.6 million and a WPT title? One of the 2 high-stakes cash game pros or one of the 2 young internet pros? Tonight's matchup pits 2 young smart online pros against 2 established Las Vegas big money cash game players. The winner tonight will take home $1.6 million and get a $25,000 entry into the season-ending WPT World Championship.
And the chip leader at this point is Luke Staudenmaier, the 22-year-old with $7.1 million. The blinds are 60 and 120. And he's 15,000. And actions on the ex-limo driver, Ralph Perry, who looks down at an ace-7 offsuit.
Ralph, a very successful high-stakes cash game player. And Vince, an amazing stat to me is that he's played in 38 WPT events. This, the first time he's made it to a WPT final table.
300.
Well, he's going to bump it up here. He's going to go 300,000 to go. And action goes to Luke, who's got a pair of queens.
Look at this, the chip leader picking up 2 queens the first hand tonight. And he is going to raise it.
Going to make it 840 to go. Quick fold by David Benyamine. Mike Watson also out. And Ralph Perry can't compete with the hand, so he's going to fold it.
So the rich getting richer on hand number 1 here tonight. And that is frustrating. When you make a raise and your opponents come right over the top of you, you just say to yourself, how do they know I didn't have that much?
Well, Mike, it's not that he's clairvoyant. The man had a pair of queens, for Pete's sakes. Doesn't care what he has.
He's looking at his own cards. You're right, Vince. So action on Luke. Lays his hand down.
Yes, he does. David Benyamine with the button. Won't play it.
Around to the young Canadian, Mike Watson. He looks down at the ace, queen of spade in a small blind. Well, he's going to raise it. Makes it $360,000 to go.
And Ralph Perry with a king jack.
Now, Vince, the last hand he raised it. His opponent came over the top of me, threw it away.
All in.
Oh, boy, he says all in.
I call.
Oh, wow.
And a quick call there by Mike Watson with his ace-queen.
Once again, Ralph Perry is all in and up against it. We saw him stay alive earlier at this final table when he had ace-9 against ace-10. He got lucky there against John Phan.
You called so fast, like you like your hand.
Well, as the cards lie, as you can see, Mike about a 2-1 favorite to eliminate Ralph from this tournament.
All right, here comes the flop. And it's a good one for Mike Watson, a 5-4 deuce. Nothing hitting for Ralph.
Well, Ralph is going to have to catch a king or a jack to win this pot, or at least take the lead.
So Ralph Perry in quite a predicament right now. Needs to turn this around, make something happen. Can he get it? Trump card is a 9 of hearts, also good for Mike. He's still out in front.
We are down to the river, 1 card to go.
Give me a king.
Las Vegas pro Ralph Perry must catch a king or a jack, or he'll be our 4th place finisher.
Okay, here comes the river, and it's an ace. Good for Mike Watson.
Yep, he's made 2 aces. He's going to take down this pot. So Ralph Perry, who finished 3rd in the 2002 World Series of Poker main event, finishes 4th tonight.
That is right. The ex-limo driver, Ralph Perry,
Yeah, just pick up a hand at the right time.
driving himself out of Bellagio in 4th place, $290,000 richer. One of these guys is going to take home close to $1.7 million. Stay with us. We're coming back with more action in just a few moments.
WPT Global is committed to being the most fair and secure poker site in the world. Data-driven AI detection technology eliminates collusion and ensures a fair environment for everyone. With zero tolerance for bots and cheaters, WPT Global is trusted by millions of players worldwide. Click the link in the description. Use the code YT11 on deposit and get our welcome package with tournament tickets, deposit match, and more.
The 80 and 160,000. And right now, David Benyamine from France is out in front with about 7.6 million.
In 2nd place, the youngster Luke Staudenmaier, 22 years old. He's got 6.9 million. And in 3rd place from Canada, Mike Watson with about 5.5 million.
Mike quickly folding this hand. And now Luke from Pittsburgh, 22 years old, has a queen-9, and he's going to raise, going to make it 480,000 to go.
Well, mathematically, that's supposed to be a favorite over any 2-card random hand, but David Benyamine makes the call with an ace-5. Healthy blinds and antes right now, about 300,000 to play every 3 hands of poker. And the flop comes ace-jack 5. David Benyamine's flop top and bottom pair. Action is on Luke. He's just got a queen-9, no help at all out there for him. It's not going to stop him from betting. He fires 750,000.
Yep, making the continuation bet.
1.5.
I bet he's actually hoping his opponent's got ace-queen, ace-10, ace-king right now.
Very scary thing when a man doubles the bet and no limit hold'em. Usually the sign of a monster, and it was more or less a monster. Luke gets out of the way with his junk hand.
So David Benyamine picking up that pot to add to his chip lead. Well, Luke obviously just hoping that David didn't have an ace in his hand where he could take the pot down right there. Unfortunately for him, David flopped top and bottom pair, came over the top, took down the pot.
Action's going to Mike Watson though right now. And with a king-3, folds his hand. Luke now with an ace-4 clubs. Not going to raise.
Check.
David with an 8-6 says, okay, let's have a flop. Oh, what a flop for David Benyamine. It's come 8-8-3. He's flopped 3 8s.
Just a huge hand, and he's going to try to trap.
Well, Luke checks, and David quickly checks 3 8s right behind him. Oh, and now a 4 comes off. Luke now has 8s and 4s with an ace kicker. But he checks, Vince. David is now going to bet his trips. He bets 300,000. Luke is going to make the call. You can't blame him for the way this hand was played. They both checked on the flop. Now 4 comes off, and he's got an ace-4. Now a 9 comes off. But he suspects something, Vince, because he's checking again. Just wants to give David a chance to bluff at it in case he's got nothing. Unfortunately for him, David's got 3 8s. David's going to make a pot-sized bet here, 900,000. And I think it's going to be tough for Luke to get away from his hand.
Michael.
He does make the call. David's going to show him 3 8s and take it down.
That is aggravating, but, you know, Luke only has to blame himself. Not raising with ace high before the flop.
I'll give David some credit there too, because he checked on the flop when he made 3/8 to lure his opponent to fall into that trap. Well, David Benyamine now has over 12 million in chips. The other two guys got 4.3 and 3.7 million. So definitely David in great shape to take down his second WPT title.
All right, let's go back down the table. It's going to be right back on David.
Pass.
This time with an 8-5, wants no part of it. Mike Watson with ace queen here.
Well, he's going to make a raise to 480,000.
But Luke here has ace 10.
That's ace 10 is a pretty big hand against the other blind.
All in.
And he's going all in.
I call.
And Mike has quickly called him.
Yep, could be a disaster here for Luke.
Well, Mike Watson, the Canadian, in great shape to double up here. Luke has a few more chips in him. But if Luke loses this pot, he will be pretty much crippled at this final table.
1, 2.
Mike Watson well out in front right now. He has ace queen. His opponent has ace 10.
Here comes the first three.
It's come king, jack, 9. Both players with an ace high straight draw. Mike Watson well out in front with the ace queen. Luke no longer wants a 10 because that would give his opponent a straight. He now needs a queen to make a straight himself.
7 of hearts on the turn.
And that gives Luke a few more outs. He can catch an 8 to win the pot now too. That would give him a jack high straight. So Luke needs an 8 or a queen. Nothing else will do.
A huge pot. Here we go to the river.
Well, it's a 7. So Mike Watson is going to double up there. And Luke Staudenmaier, who had the chip lead for a fair amount of time at this final table, is now pretty much crippled, Vince.
It's just a little bump in the road sometimes and make a comeback.
Yeah, he is on the morphine drip at this point.
I was rooting for the tie.
3 players remain. We're coming back with more action on the World Poker Tour. From Toronto, Canada, 24 years old, 7.5 million. Luke Staudenmaier right now hanging in there by dental floss, down to about a $500,000.
Well, Vince, he's getting 2-to-1 odds on anything that he has, and many players would just put their money in the dark. And this is not the hand he's looking to pick up right here.
With the absolute worst.
He's got a 7-3 offsuit, opts to lay it down. He knows David is pot committed. He's going to make a call, whatever 2 cards he's got. So he's just opting to save his last few bucks and hopes to pick up something better next time around.
7 deuce off.
Well, Vince, I got to tell you, many players would have just put the money in
4 1/4.
sight unseen. Getting that kind of price, over 2-to-1 odds on their money, you're just going to gamble in that spot with any 2 cards.
Luke deeply disappointed. It was one time he was playing the best poker at the table, running lucky, making moves, and now he's down to being a 3rd place finisher perhaps.
Well, he's certainly on the cloth, as we say, down to virtually nothing. And here he's picked up king high on the button. No doubt he's going to ship it, and indeed he does. He's moved all in here.
How much is that?
430.
Now David right behind him with a queen 4.
So David going to make what we call a strategic call here. Chances are extremely remote that Mike Watson is going to raise him. He actually would like Mike to make this call. And when you get in this position, strategy dictates that you and your opponent check it down most of the time. You're just hoping one of the 2 of you can bust the other guy where you can play heads up for the title and move up substantially in real money.
He's like a pack of piranhas right now.
Tournament life. You only get one.
Ganging up on the victim there. Mike with queen 8, David queen 4, and Luke king 4. Here's the flop.
The flop comes queen 5-3.
No help for Luke.
Action's going to be on David. He checks top pair here.
And Mike is going to bet for a side pot. David quickly folding his hand.
Well, David throws 2 queens away. He was out kicked, as we say. So Mike Watson well out in front here with the 2 queens. Well, you see the disgruntled look on Luke's face right there. He understands he's got to catch 2 runners to make a straight or catch a king to take the lead. Otherwise, he's going to be our 3rd place finisher.
Young poker player from Pittsburgh in trouble. A 5 on the turn.
So we are down to the river card. Luke Staudenmaier is going to have to catch a king on the river to stay alive in this tournament. Doesn't happen. A 6 comes off. So that's going to do it for the 22-year-old from Pittsburgh. He's going to be our third place finisher.
Yes, he is. Going to pick up $452,000.
Get me out of here.
2 players remain going after $1.6 million. They're about to begin. The Frenchman, David Benyamine, going after his second WPT titles out in front, Mike, with about $13 million.
Mike Watson starting out with about $6.9 million in chips.
24-year-old from Toronto, Canada. Let's take a look at his cards. It's a 9-8.
And that's good enough to raise on the button. He makes it $400,000 to go. And David, the Goliath of cash games, makes the call with the Jack-3 of hearts.
There's the flop 7-4 deuce, helping neither player.
David actually out in front with the Jack high, but
and it's on him first. He checks. Mike raised before the flop, but no continuation bet there. He's checked as well.
now the 10 of hearts comes off. This gives David Benyamine a flush draw. It gives Mike an open-end straight draw. So David out in front with the Jack high. The best hand and the best draw, as we say.
Very interesting turn card, helping both players' possibilities, and David getting busy here.
David obviously doesn't know his Jack high is the best hand, so he's making what we call a semi-bluff of $700,000, meaning he's got outs to win the pot, whatever his opponent has.
And Mike Watson now with his open-ended straight draw, contemplating his situation.
Now, Vance, here's a hand that I believe veteran players would fold in this spot because there's 2 potential flush draws out there. Meaning, if you make your straight, but one of the flush cards come off, you could get beat anyway.
Yeah, but he's 24 years old. What does he care? He's going to gamble here tonight. This is an online kind of poker player, and he is going to gamble.
Well, you're right. He makes the call here.
Oh, let's see if he gets lucky.
Well, here comes that river card. The Jack comes off. He has made the Jack high straight. Unfortunately for David, he now has top pair.
Oh.
Now, there is a possible club flush out there, but David Benyamine, who just made top pair, could think they're good, and he's going to bet out. You're just not going to put your opponent on an 8-9 in this situation.
Of course, he could have had a club, but wouldn't he have played it differently? Most likely. So David Benyamine betting $1.4 million with confidence.
Well, we know Mike is going to play this hand. It's just a matter if you call or go all in. He's going all in here, even though there's 3 clubs out there.
A lot of players would be content just to call that, but he's going to get aggressive.
That's a dangerous play, Vince, because if your opponent's got 2 clubs, your tapioca pudding, it's going to be tough for him to call without the flush.
Yep.
Now, obviously, if David made 2 pair, he might call, and he's actually contemplating calling with just 2 jacks. You just can't imagine your opponent's going to raise it unless he's got specifically a club flush draw. And if he had clubs, why didn't he bet on the flop?
And he makes a good laydown right there. Sneaks away from that hand.
Well, the Canadian picked the right time to gamble there.
Mike Watson, a very tough poker player, but also a mathematician. Actually graduated from the University of Waterloo. He was a math major, and that's the same school as WPT champs, the Nod Medic, and Steve Paul Ambrose.
Well, Vance, you know what those guys do in their dorms up there in Canada.
All right, action quickly on David Benyamine. He's called it with just an 8-5. Mike Watson not going to re-raise with a jack deuce. Couple crummy hands. Let's see her flop.
Both players happy to see a flop here, and it comes queen 7-3. And Mike Watson with just a jack and a deuce is going to fire out at this pot, $260,000, and he's going to take it down.
Well, that's the edge of getting lucky, playing your rushes, because you happen to catch a straight, you get momentum, you get bolder. So with your junk hands, you start getting aggressive.
Forget edges and rushes and boldness. It's youth, Vince. When you're young, you're fearless. You fire out there with nothing.
Yeah, you're probably right. Players going after $1.7 million here tonight. Action going to Mike Watson. Here's a 5-4 this time. Pretty unimpressive.
He's going to raise it though, Vince. He's playing position poker here.
Yeah.
Going to make it 400,000 to go on the button. David quickly calls him with a jack 10 out of the big blind. And here comes a flop king, jack 4. Mike has flopped bottom pair. David Benyamine has flopped second pair, but he checks. And Mike checks bottom pair right behind him. Now the board pairs jacks.
Oh,
David
wow.
Benyamine loving that. He's got 3 of a kind. His opponent drawing stone dead right now. There's no card that Mike can catch to win this pot.
And David's going to come out and bet.
Well, he's bet 450,000 here. Now, if you're sitting in Mike's seat, it might look like David's just making a move here to try to steal this pot. You've got a pair, so you're going to call him. That's exactly what Mike has done. Comes the river card, a deuce. No apparent help to anybody. David's going to be saying to himself, hey, I bet on the turn this guy called. I'm going to try another bet on the river here. He's counting out some chips. Let's see how many. Over 1.2 million he sends out there. This time Mike lays it down. A nice laydown by him. He was convinced somewhere between the turn and the river that David had him beat, and he was right. He saved that 1.2 million.
Yes, he did. And at that point, David, he said, wait, did I say 1.2? I actually meant the 300,000. Sometimes you overbet it and you wind up hating yourself for it, and you want to just take that back so quick, don't you?
You're right, Vince. If he'd have bet 4, 5, 6, 700,000, he probably got paid off.
All right, with that last hand, the antes are going up to 20,000. Blinds are at 100 and 200,000. Let's go to David Benyamine's cards. Look at this, a pair of queens wired.
Wow. 2 lovely ladies he's picked up here. And he's going to raise it and make it 500,000 to go.
With a quality hand. And now Mike Watson has picked up ace-king.
Unbelievable. We saw this scenario earlier. Ace-king against 2 queens. And Vince, neither player are going to be able to get away from one of these hands before the flop. I believe we're going to see a lot of fireworks here. And here's the first bit of it. 1.5 million.
I'm all in. The call.
Yep, and David says all in, and a quick call by Mike Watson.
Well, both players have a monster hand, especially playing heads-up poker. Nobody's going to lay either one of these hands down before the flop, but it's a classic race situation. David Benyamine out in front right now with the 2 queens.
Well, this is the same hand we saw earlier. Queens for Mike Watson, and Luke had ace-king, but Luke outdrew him.
Another one of these.
Well, Vince, over 17 million in this pot.
Queens up against ace-king. Stay tuned. We're coming back with the conclusion of this hand.
WPT Global is committed to being the most fair and secure poker site in the world. Data-driven AI detection technology eliminates collusion and ensures a fair environment for everyone. With zero tolerance for bots and cheaters, WPT Global is trusted by millions of players worldwide. Click the link in the description. Use the code YT11 on deposit and get our welcome package with tournament tickets, deposit match, and more.
2 quality hands. Mike Watson with a huge opportunity here.
Well, David Benyamine, if his 2 queens stand up, will capture a second WPT title. Here comes the flop. It's 10-9 deuce. So far, so good for David. He's out in front with the 2 queens.
And he's thinking to himself right now, no funny business, nothing crazy. I'll take home my second WPT title.
Now I'm excited.
As his fiancée, Erica Schoenberg, roots him on.
Well, here comes the turn card. It's the 5 of diamonds. So we are off to the river. David Benyamine 1 card away from capturing his second WPT title. All he has to do is dodge an ace or a king on the river. Everybody on their feet. The crowd screaming and hollering.
Now the Frenchman can taste it.
Well, here comes that river card.
The card of destiny coming up right now. Here it is.
Oh, wow!
Oh, no.
Can you believe it, Vince? An ace pops up on the river. Mike Watson is going to win this pot of over 17 million and take a commanding lead in this heads-up battle. And Vince, let me tell you something. When you play poker and lose pots like that on the river, it makes you want to have a 9-to-5 job.
Is there any fairness in poker?
I mean, unbelievable.
This is just amazing.
Heartbreak for David Benyamine.
Absolute Armageddon.
Well, as bad as you feel for David Benyamine, you got to feel good for the young Canadian.
Nice hand, sir.
Thanks. I'm good at the skill part, I guess.
Huh?
I'm good at the skill part, I guess.
You gotta like the fact that this Canadian has held his poise and hung in there and now has a commanding chip lead and could take down his first WPT title.
Well, there is so much at stake here tonight. The winner taking home over $1.6 million, along with the WPT championship.
Well, it's not over yet, but David right now has to make a big comeback to win this title. And he's going to limp in on the button.
Mike Watson with a queen 7 of spades. These guys are going to take a breather. No one raising. Here's the flop.
And flop comes ace, king, 10. Mike has checked on the flop.
I'm all in.
And David is moving all in
Hold
with
on.
the flush draw.
Oh, I'm all in.
Yeah, he's going to push it.
And he's going to win it. So a nice all-in bet by David there keeps him afloat in this tournament.
And he goes step by step to come back.
And he's still trying to gather himself from losing just a minute ago on the river. His opponent had to catch an ace or a king, otherwise the tournament was over. The trophy was on his mantle.
All right, to this hand, Mike Watson with queen 9.
I'm all in.
Okay.
He says all in, and David Benyamine with king 9 of hearts is going to call.
Well, David has him dominated here. So David, a nice favorite to double up yet again and get back in contention in this tournament. It's king 9 versus queen 9.
Yeah, big opportunity for David Benyamine to come back.
So for the young Canadian to capture this tournament right here, right now, he's going to have to get lucky. Well, Mike Watson got real lucky to spike an ace on the river to stay alive. Can he get lucky again? Oh, it's come ace, queen 6. He's done it, man.
boy.
He has taken the lead. David Benyamine in shocked disbelief.
They are singing in Canada right now for Sir Watts, Mike Watson.
I don't hear anybody for the king. Come on.
He can catch 2 runners to make a straight or a king to take the lead. Doesn't look good for him. Now a 9 comes off. Now that gives Mike queens and 9s. David has a pair of 9s. The only card he can catch to win this pot and stay alive is a king.
And Mike Watson so close to taking home the first place prize of over $1.6 million. Can he hold it up? Yes, he does.
Well, 7 of diamonds comes off. You got to take your hat off to Mike Watson. He played a great tournament all week long, but I'll tell you one thing. You got to feel the pain for David Benyamine.
24-year-old Canadian Mike Watson is our champion.